Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending another 1 hour or so with me, however much time you can give the program. If you're just joining up with us, I'd like to ask you, first of all, what I ask you every single time that I start the program, and that is to please share this program on your Facebook page right now before we start listening. Let's go ahead and do this and ensure that we are able to get the message out. Today we have a great subject, and that is Texas turned blue. And, you know, actually, I'm very, very, very optimistic. Much more optimistic than the pundits. Much more optimistic than anything else. And as much as a lot of times you guys who read me also at Daily Coast know that I'm always very cautionary. I am cautionary for a reason, but at the same time, I think making sure that people know what they have to do to actually effect change is what we're going to talk about today. Because you know what, folks? It is there for us. It is there for our pickings. It is there for us to decide if we really want to turn Texas blue this iteration. It can be done. Everything that is necessary to do it is in action. We have all the organizations that are the progressive organizations that are out there working. They're having institutes to teach people what they need to do, including one that's being held by one of our major organizations here. I don't know if I'm supposed to be announcing it here or not, so I won't. But you would know about it if you'd know about it if you're plugged in as one of the activists in town. So in town and throughout the country. So anyhow, I think I think we ought to be very positive as far as what is occurring in the United States of America and specifically here in Texas as well. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, Milton Gibson, Chase Escamilla, welcome aboard. Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. For all of those that are here early. Again, if you're just joining us, please do what I ask. Please, I beg to go ahead and share this on your wall. Before we get started, we're about to get started, but I'd like you to share it on the wall so that the Facebook algorithm would give us the maximum penetration possible. Again, share this show, Politics Done Right, on your site and invite people to realize that this is a show that we come on 5 days a week from 3 p.m. Central to 4 p.m. Central. That's 4 p.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Eastern. Again, 3 p.m. Central to 4 p.m. Central. That is the time that we come on here. Again, please go ahead and share this on your wall right now. Before we get started with the program, I do 3 asks in the program. 1 in the beginning, 1 in the middle, 1 in the end. I'd like to remind all of you that this is a progressive station, a progressive radio show, radio and video show that is. And I'd like to ask you if you have the wherewithal to please go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That's patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That's patreon.com/politicsdoneright. One more time, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. As I've always told my listeners, just as much as I have several progressive rags, meaning progressive shows and progressive blogs on my list that I donate to every single month, I'd like to ask some of you to become subscribers of Politics Done Right. This is the first ask that I make. I'll make one sometime in the middle, but I need to get hundreds of us to make sure that this can remain a viable enterprise for us to make sure and bring the message to you. So what is the program about today? For those newcomers, again, please go ahead and share this program on your wall. It is imperative that we share these programs, and not only Politics Done Right, but other programs of this sort that is trying to enlighten folks as far as what we need to do to not only win Texas, but to win the country. Title of the show today, folks, it is, I am starting to believe Texas is going blue in the midterm. Do you? Again, I am starting to believe that Texas is going blue in the midterms. Do you? And the answer that I hope you would ask, welcome aboard Michael Dean Newton, welcome aboard Steve Watson. I hope that your answer will be yes, but not just yes, I think it's going to happen. Yes, I will be one of the millions, I will be one of the millions in Texas that will make it happen. And here we go. Today we discuss what I believe is a likelihood many may not yet believe is possible. I am starting to become convinced that Texas will turn blue during the 2018 midterm. Now, before we get into the program, I want to have two things on the news feeds. First, from Al Jazeera, we have teachers in the United States of Arizona, in the states of Arizona and Colorado, left their classrooms on Thursday to call for better pay and increases in public schools funding. Tens of thousands of educators marched through the streets of Phoenix, the capital of Arizona, demanding that legislators fix a number of issues, including low educator salaries and overcrowded classrooms with more than 30 students per teacher in an April 19 poll by Arizona Education Association and grassroots organizing group Arizona Educators United. 78% of 57,000 educators voted in support of the walkout. It is a first in the state's history. Like I've been telling you guys all over the place for a long time. The teachers are going to lead the comeback of the American worker. And it is high time that the teachers lead the comeback of the American workers, because some of the most underpaid and maligned folks in our country has been the teachers. Education Association, Meanwhile, teachers in Colorado also protested on Thursday, resulting in the closure of several school districts. According to local media, schools across the United States have seen budget cuts since the economic downturn of 2007, known as the Great Recession. Teachers in the U.S. states of Arizona and Colorado left their classrooms on Thursday to call for better pay and increases in public school funding. The protests in Arizona and Colorado follow similar demonstrations in West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Kentucky. So guess what? Red states, baby. The teachers have been so maligned, underpaid, all of that. They're leading the cause, and that doesn't only cover red states, but that is where the majority of the pilfering is taking place. But you know what? It's changing. It's happening. People are starting to assert their worth. The teachers are starting to say, we are worth more than those stockbrokers. Why are you paying us so little? You're going to pay us. After all, we are taking care of your children. Many times we are with your kids more than you are with your kids. The way you know how much you care is how much you're willing to invest in those. Again, folks, if you're just joining us, please be sure to add us to your Facebook page, your Facebook wall, so that we'll be shared. Okay, this one is very, very important from Vox. I need you to listen to this, specifically progressives and Democrats. This is serious. Here it goes. A newly released secret recording shows a rare glimpse into the Democratic Party's strategy of boosting certain candidates in primaries across the country as the party enters a competitive 2018 election with a shot at taking back the U.S. House of Representatives. The recording, first reported by The Intercept's Li Fang, features House Minority Whip Steny Hoyer, the number 2 House Democrats, who has been campaigning and fundraising on behalf of many candidates. Hoyer was secretly recorded by Levi Tillman, a progressive Democrat running in Colorado's 6th district, as the two met at a dinner Hilton. In the recording, Hoyer is heard saying, "Staying out of the primaries sounds small d Democratic, very intellectual and very interesting, but it was clear that it was our policy and our hope that early on try to come to an agreement on a candidate that we thought could win the general, and to give that candidate all the help we could give them." Wait a minute. How successful has the Democratic establishment been in winning candidates? How successful has the Democratic establishment been in winning, in selecting the candidates that are going to win? Very, very unsuccessful. The reason we have lost most state legislatures, the reason we have lost the presidency, the reason we have lost all these different entities is because the Democratic establishment has tried to do this over and over again, which is to select who they believe are the best candidates to win. And you know what Americans are saying? Those aren't the people we want. So if we don't get those people we want, might as well stick with the Democrats. I mean, with the Republicans. You see, what Democrats don't understand is simple. The country is a big country. And not only is it a big country, but also what they think, what they believe is, look, we either want Republicans, real Republicans, or we want real progressives. And the real progressives have been aligned with Democrats. Democrats acting like Republican light is not the answer. And why isn't it the answer? Because if folks want Republicans, they will elect Republicans. They didn't want a Republican president. Look, this is a lot of people are gonna really get upset with what I'm gonna say here. But this is what I've heard from a whole lot of folks in the Rust Belt. They thought that, believe it or not, and again, you may get mad, but we should only be concerned with what people believe. They believed that Donald Trump was more progressive, was more populist than was Hillary Clinton. I know there's some studies that came out now that folks are saying, oh, a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because it was that carnal thing. It was that carnal thing where we wanted to they're racist, they're misogynist, or look, there is a sect within the Republican Party that is that way. But guess what, folks? There is a sect within the Democratic Party that is just as bad. The only difference is that we have codified within our party, within the Democratic Party, what has been codified is that we stand for equality. It doesn't mean that the Democratic Party is equal. It means, or it tries to be equitable with everyone. What it does mean is that codified within our platform, we try to be what? Equitable. We try to be democratic. We try to be fair. We try to not be misogynist. We try to not be racist. We try to not be all those isms. But those same isms that there is in the Republican Party, those same isms are here in the Democratic Party. So we need not sit back and be high and mighty about our progressivism and how pure we are, because we're not. If you doubt that, go to my website, egbertowillies.com, and see what occurred when Black Lives Matter interrupted Bernie Sanders at the most liberal blogging organization on the planet, Daily Kos, at Netroots Nation 2015. Go see what happened. My point being, Democrats aspire to be good. Republicans just don't give a damn. And to my Republican friends, it's not on you what I'm trying to say when I say that. When I say Republicans just don't give a damn, I mean in your Ayn Randian behavior, you believe completely and fend for yourself. If you can't deal with racist, tough. If you can't deal with sexist, tough. If you can't, tough. You're just on your own. We don't have to codify a damn thing. Democrats believe in the rule of law. Democrats believe in creating a platform that codifies who we are and what it is supposed to be. But it doesn't say that Democrats do not reflect society at large, because Democrats, like Republicans, like policemen, like everybody, reflects all the ills that we have in society. Okay? So let's be real. So what Steny Hoyer is doing out there, attempting to decide which Democrats are good enough. Let me tell you what they're really doing. They want to make sure that they get the right kind of Democrats that's not going to move us to the left. They want to make sure they get the Democrats that are not going to pass single-payer Medicare for all or try to attempt to do that. They want the kind of Democrats that aren't going to say, you know what, let's take care of home first. They want the kind of Democrats that are not going to stand up and say, we want also a basic income. They want to stand for Democrats that don't really stand for the values of the people. They are no different in many times than the establishment Republicans. Hear me, and do not, I am not mincing words here. There is a sect within the Democratic Party and a sect within the Republican Party that are on the left side of the rails and the right side of the rails. But guess what happened, what you have with a train on a rail? Both the left rail and the right rail They are moving in the same direction, just with a different offset. So, folks, that is where that is what they like to call the center. Unfortunately, the center centers for no one but the corporatocracy. So you either have a right where you have some danger, or you have a left that takes care of people. It doesn't take care of people and say you don't have you don't have responsibility. What it does is it says we are there for you when you need us, but most people get off their butts and do what has to be done to move forward. Okay, folks, but so those are the two the news stories that I wanted to cover. If you're just joining us, folks, please remember to share this program on your wall right now so that we can get the performance and see the people out there that are get this message to people out there who need to hear this message. Okay, you know what time it is, and do you know what I do when we say what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, está bien, está bien, está bien, está bien, está bien, está bien, está bien. Now, here we goes. Here we goes. Title of the blog: When will Texas turn blue? And my answer is after the 2018 midterm elections. Meaning, after the 2018 midterm election, my good friend who just joined the show, and Daniel, I hope you're going to share this on your wall as well. Daniel Lado, one of my favorite conservatives, and Brother Cesek, who always come to the show. I haven't seen him here yet. Another good conservative. Yes, Mr. Lado, Texas is going blue. And when I say after 2018, I don't mean an election after 2018. I mean the results of 2018 would have shown a blue Democratic wave in Texas, and that the state will be run by Democrats effective after the election. Here we go. Forget any polls you read on Texas. Forget it. Olvídalo. Polls have, when you talk about polls, right? If you're just joining us, folks, please go ahead and share this program on your wall. The way polls are designed, right, is they take what's called a representative samples. They look at all your registered voters. They figure out those voters. They take a representative sample, what they think is a representative sample of that group, and then they poll that. That may be 1,200 people. That may be 512 people. It all depends on that. That's how they poll, folks. That's how they poll. Now, there's also called a likely voter poll. A likely voter poll takes registered voter polls, and it says of those people who registered to vote, which ones have voted in the last several elections. And that creates a likely voter, because voting has a tendency to follow a pattern. If somebody votes once, they're likely to vote again. If somebody votes 2 times or 3 times, they're likely to vote more times. However, we are in some very stressful times right now. We are in a state of Texas where in October, well, I'll talk about the medical stuff later on, but the October surprise, if Trump doesn't generate some sort of a terrorist event, it's not going to be something bloody. It is going to be something financially painful, and it is time that that progressives start laying the groundwork for that possibility. And so that as soon as it happens, we do not allow the right to blanket that onto progressives. But here we go. I believe Texas will be blue after the 2018 midterm elections. I did not say purple. I meant blue. And here is why it will occur. I live in the most conservative suburbs likely in the country. I am at a Starbucks virtually every day for hours reading, writing, blogging. Most of my friends in this part of town are conservative and Trumpsters. And again, they're my friends. I like these people. They're good folk. Okay? I think misled a lot of them, but good folk. Now, the conservatives have not stopped labeling themselves conservatives. The Trumpsters remain Trumpsters. I'm not asking folks to change your religion. I'm not asking folks to change your party or anything like that. What has changed is their willingness to entertain my far left ideas as plausible, even as they declare themselves unchanged. They will say, Egberto, if that could be implemented, then yeah, I would be with that. If it could be implemented in sort of a conservative way, and then I explain, I've even explained basic pay. and they were like, that may work. Yes, I could go for that. However, the Republican establishment would have none of these things. They are just right-wing, outright Ayn Randian, period. They follow the tenets of Ayn Rand. You pick yourself up by your pants and screw you if you can't make it on your own. All right? Which most of the time when they say you can't make it on your own, what it really means is they have put up the obstacles to prevent you from making it on your own. Most people are willing to go out there and do whatever work they can, assuming that work is there and assuming they're capable of doing the work. And capable of doing the work mean having had a good education, having had good social programs that allow you to be self-sufficient when the time comes. It's like you fertilize something until it can grow on its own. All right. One may say, well, if they claim their values are unchanged, what makes one believe that a change is occurring? The fact that they are entertaining progressive tenets is an acknowledgement that they are seeing the principles of their current politicians as at best suspect. It means some of those folks will peel off from their party. We're not going to get all of them, but some will peel off from their party. Not all, but some. They will. I'm telling you, they will. I mean, they did it under Obama. They did it under different. They even well, Clinton is a different stuff because Clinton never got the majority of the vote ever. You know, a lot of people like to look at Bill Clinton and say, "Oh, Bill Clinton was that Democrat. He formed the DLC, the Democratic. I don't remember what that stands for, but it was really a centrist Democrat organization, and a lot of the pundits like to make it look like, well, the person who put the centrists together, formed the DLC, they were able to win elections. No, they were not able to win elections. A third party came in and usurped the votes of Republicans mostly. And if you take a look at what occurred, Bill Clinton never got to 50% in neither election of the population. So therefore, Bill Clinton, yes, he was president, but he never led with a majority. Unlike President Obama, Obama had not only a majority, but a large majority of the population in both of the elections. In both of the elections, he got the majority of the population. Even Bill Clinton's wife got more votes proportionally than he did. So we have to make sure and understand the narrative. For those people, for Steny Hoyer and all those guys who are trying to pick candidates and say we're picking them because they're centrist or we're picking them because they have a higher likelihood of voting, Barack Obama campaigned a hell of a lot more progressive than Bill Clinton did. And what did he do? He got voters. When you had a voter in Pennsylvania tell his wife, honey, we're voting for the N-word. In other words, that is where I take exception to a whole lot of the liberal intelligentsia who tries to say, well, you know what, you guys have been saying that the Trump voters they were antsy, they had economic issues that they're worrying about. It's not the economic issues that made them vote for Trump. It's the nativist issue. It's a racist issue. No, my friend. A lot of racists voted for Obama, and knowingly so, and they admitted they did it so. So, I mean, you have to be able to detach these things, and a lot of the people in our liberal intelligentsia seem to not be able to do that. Racists would vote for anyone as well if it's in their interest and they see it in their interest, and that is the reason I'm going to continue with this blog to tell you what I'm talking about. Anyhow, continuing. So that, along with Texas's demographic change, will do it. My guts tell me not even this gerrymandered state can escape what is to come if progressives, instead of trying to be Republican light, tell Texans what they will do for them materially and how. How will they do it for them materially? Folks, if you're just joining us, please go ahead and share this program on your wall, and so that folks can see it also from the beginning and see what we're talking about. Anyhow, continuing. I wrote a piece that suggested how progressives could make their message as simple and easy to understand as Republicans do all of the time successfully in Texas and throughout the nation. The entire article is worth a read, but here's the core. And this is where I started with the article, and this is what I said. While Democrats are coasting to victory, the Republicans flush in cash will shortly begin to define each Democratic candidate. That definition will stick if Democrats do not preempt it by doing two things. Republicans are good at what they do. We all know that the truth is not the necessary source material for them. Progressives must define their opponents first so that it is them who are on the defensive. Then all poor and middle class America in a district specific manner, or rather, then tell poor and middle class America in a district specific manner what is in it for them. It must be clear to them what they expect out of voting for Democrats. It's not for Democrats to say this is what you need. It is for you to go ahead and tell them what you're offering and for them to accept it based on what they need, right? You have to find out what they need, and then you shape what you're given for those needs. And here are the 5 tenets that I came up with. And this and it's important that we understand what it's all about. And the 5 tenets are the following. Democrats will fix the healthcare issue once and for all with a single payer Medicare for all system. Number 2, Democrats will provide student loan relief. Number 3, Democrats will provide need-based subsidized child care for anyone who wants to work. Number 4, Democrats will decriminalize marijuana and treat drug use as the disease that it is. Number 5, Democrats will make the criminal justice system live up to the justice is blind motto. If you're just joining us, please go ahead and share this program on your wall. Those 5 bullet points expressed in different terms will work in every single district in America. This applies to people in every single district in America. Now, it appeals to millennials, people of color, all working class people, parents, and every demographic in between. Most importantly, these bullet points afford Americans a path to self-sufficiency. It frees them from aberrations in the economy that stunts innovation, the ability to start one business, and the dependency and the enslavement to the corporation. Those 5 tenets do all of that. If you have health care, check this out. If you have health care, you can decide to go on your own and not worry about whether you can afford healthcare because it's not being provided by a corporation. If you get student loan relief, you can go ahead and buy a home. You can go ahead and invest in your own company and not have to be this constant pain of student loans because the government in the first place, whereas your parents used to get lower cost education, subsidized education, and because of all these tax cuts over the last several decades, it has left millennials stranded. And then a lot of the baby boomers are saying, oh, when we went to school, we took care of paying those. No. When you went to school, my dear baby boomers, you were very well subsidized. And we are asking millennials right now to pay for what we spent and what they want. Think about that. We're asking millennials to pay 2 things. They're going to pay the taxes to repay the debt that was built up to put us through school, to give the GI Bill, to do all those things millennials are going to have to pay for. And at the same time, they can't go to school the same way we did. And we're asking them then to pick up that tab as well. So they're paying for the tab of their forebears and they're paying for their own tab. And then we sit back and say, oh, millennials, they're lazy. They're this. No, if I were a millennial, a lot of times I'd say I won't work either. Why should I work to pay 2 things? Why should I work to pay what you guys irresponsibly spent and pay again for what I need to do to get my education? No, I'm kidding. You got to go to work. But what you have to do, millennials, is you have to join the body politic and you got to take what's yours. That's what you have to do. And that's what this Gen Xer, and I'm right on the cusp of Gen X and baby boomer. I don't claim the baby boomer because I'm trying to anyhow. So we are here to tell you that we're on your side because we've understand how you've been screwed. And you're the ones that's going to be taking over this darn country in the next few years. And we need to make sure and make you whole. Continuing, my dear friends. So look, one would hope that every Democrat who gets on Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, HLN, or any other network would steer every topic to these bullet points. I've heard some Democrats come on TV several times and they are asked questions. Great, answer the question. But every single time, it doesn't take more than 20 seconds to be able to memorize these bullet points and go out there and as they ask you, well, what do you think about Russia? What do you think about the president and his Russia connections? Well, the president has been, in my personal opinion, the president has been a traitor. But you know what? I want to tell you this, my dear host, that the president is a traitor is not going to feed the people in America. So what I think people in America needs to know is that Democrats are going to do A, B, C, D, and E. All 5 of these items. Every Democrat should answer the question and say, but that is not important. These are the things that we want to do for Americans when you elect us in November. Every single time you get on TV, like the Republicans used to do, no matter what question they were asked back in 2010, no matter what Republicans were asked, they had message discipline. And that message discipline always said the following. So what do you think about Barack Obama not going into Syria? Well, you know, he should not. He should have gone into Syria because he left a whole lot of people abandoned. But you know what? That's not going to help anybody in my district. Let me tell you, what's going to help them in my district is if we take away the corrosive nature of Obamacare. Every single Republican knew how to do that. And even when they're going to be cut off by the host, they had that inflection so perfectly articulated and done that they could get that message out. By the time they said the message, it could not be unrung by the host. But Democrats do not do that when they get on TV. My new Democrats, our progressive Democrats are going to learn how to go do those things. Our progressive Democrats, you're listening to Politics Done Right. You're listening to these other shows. When you go out there, you're going to learn to say this. Whatever question they ask you, even if it doesn't pertain to the election of 2018, you always have a segue. However, what is important to my constituents or my potential constituents right now is that they know when electing Democrats, this will occur, that will occur. And look how fast it is to say, whenever you elect, so what do you think about what Pruitt is doing at the EPA? Pruitt is really screwing up the EPA. You know, that affects my constituents. But you know what else affects my constituents? I need to let them know that Democrats will fix the healthcare system and give them single-payer healthcare because that is the way they are going to be able to move forward. Democrats, we are going to provide some student loan. I mean, yes, Pruitt can screw up the EPA, but we are going to provide student loans. And when you elect us, we'll take care of the damage that Pruitt did. Democrats will provide need-based subsidized healthcare. You know, all my constituents that want to work, you know, when Pruitt makes his mess, they're going to be able to put away their kids in these places that we're going to provide for them so that they can go and work and clean up Pruitt's mess. Now, we are, you know, a lot of our kids are having some marijuana issues or some pills issue. We're going to take care of that. We are definitely going to make sure that the justice system works for all. So when it comes to our neighbors who are maligned by the justice system, we're going to take care of them. So yes, it is true that Pruitt is doing a terrible job. But you know what? There's so much other things that have to get done in this country. Every single Democrat must be ready to say that. That is how you get message discipline. That is how you keep it codified in the person's head so that when they walk into that booth, when they walk in to vote, they are going to know, well, what it is I'm voting for. Democrat, Republican. Democrat, I am voting my interest. I don't care if I'm a Republican or a Democrat. When they go out into that booth, it doesn't say, oh, you don't have a Republican side or a Democrat side when you are in the final election. And people, when they go in there and they think, oh my God, what am I going to do? What's going to help my family best? When you can isolate, notice here in these topics, we didn't talk anything about the racist divisions or anything like that. It is implied social justice for everybody, making sure the justice system is colorblind. Yeah, we're going to work on that, but we don't have to go ahead and say we have to go ahead and get. I mean, you have to learn how to win. And you learn how to win by educating folks on how to talk to people. And since you don't have a whole lot of time to talk to people, you have to get your message in a simple form that is ready to hit people right away, all of the times. Every time you get on TV, TV time is precious. Continuing with the blog of the week. An interview in the Nation should bring this all home. And this was an interview that I read in the Nation magazine today, and it said as follows: John Wiener interviewed Pulitzer Prize winning author of The Lumen Tower and Going Clear and New Yorker writer Lawrence Wright. He was born in Dallas but now lives in Austin. He said the following in the interview, and this was the last statement he made in the interview, and it was the absolute best statement. And he said, "It will happen for several reasons," meaning that Texas is going blue for several reasons. One is that all the cities are blue, and that's where growth is happening, and a lot of the growth is minority growth. The other reason is that Texans are already far more progressives than our elected representatives. That's very important. We are much more progressive than the crazies in Austin. We are much more progressive. When I listen to the crazies in Austin, and even in Brenham, Texas, it's like, where the hell did these guys come from? For instance, most Texans want to have undocumented migrants be given citizenship or some kind of green card or something like that protects them. And you know what? There's a poll in Texas that have already shown that. Responsible gun ownership, a lot of Texans don't quarrel with that at all. But if you listen to our political figures, you would never know that they represent a people that have different opinions. Now, the other thing is the Republican Party in Texas, I think they have taken an overdose of some kind of a hallucinogen that makes them think that they are living in another future. The Anglo population is diminishing in terms of its presence and influence, and it is almost an entirely Anglo party, and they've been antagonizing Hispanics for a long time, most recently with the Sanctuary Cities bill. The particular feature of that is the Show Me Your Papers provision, which stigmatizes every Hispanic differently from any other Texans. What he really means by that, let me explain that, because a lot of people don't quite get that. Even in Texas, you have a whole lot of folks that kind of don't know who they are. They think there's a status in being Republican. So you'd see a special group of black folk or a special group of Latinos or a special group of Asians think that they can somehow be a part of the party and accepted within that party, which isn't the case, right? Because that party has policies that is directly inconsistent with the being of anybody other than those that are Anglo. And we can talk about that some other time. And that is a statement of fact based on what they want. I mean, you can, as they did in South Africa, to get you to be a part of the party. In effect, what they've done is they've created what I call the honorary Anglo class. And the honorary Anglo class gives you the ability to do what? Pass. I mean, a lot of you are going to say, I can't believe you said that. I don't only say that, I mean that. Continuing. Then there's the intolerance towards homosexuals. I was talking about when he was talking about Hispanic, he means this. You know, I can't walk outside and not look black. In as much as I'm an engineer, I'm a business owner, I'm all these other things. In as much as that's the case, I walk out the door, the treatment that I get is that of a criminal in many instances when stopped by the police. So, many of us know exactly how to act. Hands on the rail. Yes, sir. No, sir. What did you need from me, sir? What did I do wrong, sir? Self-preservation. The same thing applies with Latinos. The Latinos, more so now with the Show Me Your Papers, you can be more American than a cop who stopped you. You could have been stopped by a cop that was born in Denmark who's going to ask you for your papers when your family was here before the inception of the country. That is where the Republican Party is at with the Show Me Your Papers kind of a deal. Anyhow, continuing. Then there is the intolerance towards homosexuals, the opposition to gay marriage. Recently, just a couple weeks ago, we had the state Republican convention. Check this out. The state Republican convention, and they refused to allow a booth to the log cabin Republicans, the gay Republicans. Okay? Well, what statement are they trying to make? They're so backward looking. They're so hostile to public education. And they're so focused on socially conservative issues like that bathroom bill that they try to force through. Those are not winning propositions for a future party. They will become losing propositions when people in Texas go to vote. We are always at the bottom or right next to it in voter turnout. When that changes, Texas will turn blue very, very quickly. So says Pulitzer winning prize Lawrence Wright. And I concur. What I think I may differ with him a bit is how soon is that conversion going to occur. My contention is that conversion is on the cusp. My contention is that conversion, if we do our job, if progressive activists do their jobs, and if we don't only talk to the choir, if we go to the places in this country where people usually don't go campaign, if we go to places and give people hope and say this time is going to be different. And how do we know this time is going to be different? Because we're not going to listen to Steny Hoyer. We're not going to listen to these establishment Democrats that tells you who they think should win, who they think should run, because they have the appropriate bona fides to win. How much good bona fides did Trump have? And look at how successful he has. I know we talk about all the bad things he did. Trump is a successful Republican president, more so than George Bush. Think about it. They got a draconian tax cut through. They destroyed the budgetary system that George Bush was unable to do. They were able to do it. They went ahead and assigned Supreme Court justices that would never have gotten a chance otherwise. Look, we can talk about Russia. We can talk about all these other the prostitution. We can talk about showers, yellow showers. We can talk about all those things. Those things are just distracting because the Trump administration is successfully deconstructing our government. The Trump administration is successfully doing all the things Republicans wanted it to do. From the tax cut scam, even Obamacare, they're destroying. They couldn't do it officially by codification, but they're now doing it by implementation. And come October, you'll see that. Come October, you will see that. I think the voter turnout model will change in Texas this year if progressives make the case. Organization and mobilization have begun. I am starting to get excited about Texas more than for the rest of the country because all the necessary factors are already here. As the author of that other piece said, we're just a non-voting state. The only thing that we have to add to the equation is something called voting. We don't have to try to convince. First of all, we are going to try to convince more Americans, more of our, right now the Republican Party is almost considered the white party because there's a group of white folk that believe they belong in that party. They don't. It is up to us to talk to our white brothers and sisters and remind them of what really is needed in this country. We want them in the Democratic Party. We want all these folks. I am saying the Democratic Party because that is where progressivism resides at this point in our history. And that's the reason I'm saying that. But we want you in the party. We want everybody in this party, and we want a huge win, not only locally, but nationally, because the kinds of changes that we have to do to clean up not only Trump's mess, but also all the mess of supply-siders. And that goes for Clinton, that goes for Obama, because all these guys were pulled by the gravity of the establishment. The gravity of the establishment prevented at least a public option within Obamacare, and it definitely made single-payer Medicare for all impossible. The gravity of the establishment ensured that we couldn't have good policies that says we're going to have true leave, paid leave. The gravity of the establishment prevented us from saying that we are not going to have good child care. Now, if we ignore the gravity of the establishment, meaning we ignore Steny Hoyer, and when he comes and he decides which candidates are going to be the ones, we are not going to allow these guys to determine who are going to be the candidates at all. The people decide who the candidates are going to be the ones representing them. And they need not be establishment candidates. They need not be those candidates that represent the establishment because, remember, most of the time, the establishment is either on the left rail or the right rail, And we know one thing about the train rails. They're going, if you have a train with a left rail and a right rail, and the train is going on that rail, that train is going in the same direction, brothers and sisters. Don't ever believe that the center left and center right are going in a different direction. They're not. And what we need in this country right now is a complete, an entire change of direction, bar none. That is the only thing that's going to save the middle class. That is the only thing that's going to make us who we ought to be. And we have to remember that. We cannot sit back and keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Yes, it's called insanity. For those of you who are just tuning in, please go ahead right now and share on the wall. And then I'm coming to look at what was posted on the walls in a minute. But before I do that, I want to do my middle request here and tell you guys, please do remember that this is a progressive show. We do need your support. I hate coming out here and saying, folks, we need your support. We need subscribers. But we need hundreds of subscribers to make this thing viable. We need hundreds of subscribers to make this thing viable. We have to invest in what we are going to do to move progressivism forward, to educate people and allow them to know what's really out there, how their system works, what they need to do. Today's topic was a very important topic. How do Democrats, first of all, not centrist Democrats, not establishment Democrats, how folks that are going to go out there are going to campaign? How do you get on TV? And remember, this is a national program, so this doesn't only apply to Texas where the primaries have already occurred, but we still have runoffs. Those folks in the runoffs, make sure and go progressive, folks. You make sure and ask those questions and go progressive, folks, because that is what America needs. And when you go out there, I don't care if you go into a right-wing area or left-wing area, when you go out there and tell folks, hey guys, this is what I am going to do for you. This is what your government is going to do for you. The reason government never worked before is because those people who are part of the government have a vested interest for it not to work so that they can privatize as much as they can, claiming that government doesn't work. Remember, when you do things within government, all the collections, all the monies go towards you. When a private entity takes over a government service that normally is done by the government, somebody is skimming off the top to give shareholders profits. We have to educate people to how things really work. So please go to Patreon, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Be a subscriber as best you can. Okay, let's go ahead and start reading what people have been saying. Let's go ahead. Oh, I found out that if I turned it sideways, I could do it a little bit better. Okay, folks, let's see what we have here. Let's see, Senor Rudnin, we have to stop back and not put this in partisan terms. I'm glad you mentioned Syria. You brought this up again, Rudnin. I did read that, and yes, it is true. We need to get to hell out of Syria. That is one area in which Brother Trump was correct. Scott Pruitt is quite possibly the most corrupt official I've ever seen in the White House. Yes, he is, and he should make for some great 30-second commercials. And those of us that are doing what I'm doing, which means promoting the message, putting out the message, and doing as much enlightenment as we can, it is important that we make sure that the message of Scott Pruitt is put out there in a manner, not just saying Scott Pruitt is corrupt, but showing how the corruption of Scott Pruitt materially affects the people within affect your constituents. So what I'm trying to tell Democrats here, it is not just enough to attack and say Donald Trump is bad, Scott Pruitt is bad. We have to say how them being bad materially affects you. Otherwise, ideology takes precedence in a lot of these people's minds. Okay, continuing. Skimmed. Let's see. I haven't read this one yet. Article. Let's see. What is that article about? Skimmed a bit. Okay, we'll take care about that a little later. Let's see. Comes to single payer health care candidate. Obama broke that promise. One of the most disappointing actors present. Again, remember what I spoke to you guys about. There's a difference between the president and the presidency. And the presidency has the gravity of the establishment. And it's not only the Democratic establishment, it's the establishment. It's the rail. There's a left rail and a right rail. And guess what? Rails move in the same direction. Buenas tardes, el señor Gibson. And Case Escamilla, yes, Beto will win by 20%. Good luck today. Yes, I expect Beto to win. I don't think the polls are right, like I said. Beto has been to 240 something of the 254 counties that I think it's 254, somewhere around there. But he's been to the vast majority of counties in Texas. He's doing a good thing. The article in question, I think the voter turnout model will change in Texas this year if progressives make the case. Organization and mobilization have begun. You're correct, my friend. That's the article that I just wrote. Michael Dean Newton, teachers are teaching us. Absolutely so. I am so impressed with the teachers' strikes. I'm so impressed with the teachers walking out. This should have been occurring for quite a long time now, because teachers are the bastions of society. Where I come from, teachers are revered. Here, teachers are treated like, no, I'm sorry. Anybody who decides to teach, anybody who says, I will be somebody who will spend time moving education along, though they are some of the most important pieces of our society, because they're the ones that move knowledge forward. It's great to see them running. Tilt the scales in favor of the candidates they prefer rather than letting the people choose for themselves. That is what they do, my friend. Okay, Michael Dean Newton. Lots of program groups are active. The Democratic Party is being rebuilt from the ground up under the radar of the media. I love that you said that. That is what we've been preaching, Michael Dean Newton. We have a whole lot of people that sometimes they'll come to me and they'll say, well, the Democratic Party is not doing this and the Democratic Party is not doing that. And I'll say, look, forget about the Democratic Party. Forget about asking the Democratic Party to do anything. Create your group, your local progressive group, and go do something. You can work with 20, 30 precincts and make sure that you make those precincts successful. You can work, and just make sure that the Democratic Party is just the holder. It's just a placeholder, right? If you start looking at the Democratic Party as a placeholder where you can get your values across, then things work out better. You don't have to be frustrated about whether the Democratic leadership is good or bad. I really don't give a damn. As long as we get on the ballot and we can get the people to vote, we can get the solution. So, it's a waste of time to sit down and talk about how bad the party is. Don't waste your time about I talk about how bad the party is simply to get other people to take over and do what they have to do to get the win. That is what we have to do. But sitting down and say, the party this, the party that. No, you are the party. You are the party. You are the progressive. You go out there and you do what needs to be done. Coordinate with other people, like with Indivisible, Swing Left, Pantsuit Republic. Work with all these different groups, right? Black Lives Matter. Work with all these groups and get the job done. Forget about trying to fight the party. Now, the part that I tell all my folks to do within the party is become precinct chairs. Most of these parties have precinct chairs open all over the place. Some of them have over 50% of their precinct chairs without anybody serving in them. Populate them with progressives so that you have a voice in choosing that leader of that particular county, that leader of that particular district. Get in there. Get involved. Take the BS. There are a lot of times you're going to go to a meeting and you're going to hear a lot of crap, and you're probably going to be unsuccessful in doing some of the things from the people who understand the party machination better than you do. But eventually, you will become the majority. Eventually, when the electorate start electing progressives, even those within the party's establishment are going to have to start acting more progressives. If you doubt that, see what the Tea Party has done to the Republican Party. The Republican Party wasn't the group of crazies that they are right now. They weren't. The Tea Party moved them to where they are. Unfortunately, where they are is a danger, a clear and present danger to our country. Now, you can remove that danger by doing the exact polar opposite and doing it right. And you don't need the blessing of the party. The Tea Party never got the blessing of the Republican Party. Progressives do not need the blessing of the Democratic Party to be Democrats and to go do what has to get done. So do it. All right, let's continue. Michael Redden, Democratic Party has lost over 1,000 seats under. Have Republicans picked up 1,000 seats? Yes. Of course they have. That's why they control all the legislature. And I see that Redden passed that through the true stuff in the what that place is called. Anyway, the place that tells if something is true or not. And John T. Floyd, exactly. Yep, John, I think what you're saying is that you agree with what I'm doing. Okay, Rudnan, the idea that the Democrats can somehow convince Wall Street to work on behalf of Main Street through mild chiding rather than acting as Main Street's champion against the wealthy no longer resonates. No, because they won't. Why would they? Why would Wall Street do anything to support anything other than maximizing their profit? It's, first of all, for all practical purposes, not what they do. It is not what they do. What do I mean by it's not what they do? The fiduciary responsibility of every corporation is to the shareholder, not to the people. That's how it's designed. The fiduciary responsibility of any corporation is to its shareholders. They do whatever is good for the shareholder. What that means is at times you must screw the people you serve, both your employees and the people that you make products for. That's just how it is. Okay, continuing, let's see. John T. Floyd, Democratic Party's closeness with the corporate elite and insistence on supporting conservative Republican light candidates is the very reason why the party continues to lose general elections. John T. Floyd, absolutely so. That is absolutely the case. All right, let's see. Mike Cisak, my good Republican friend, my good conservative friend. Michael Rudden, it is true that Texas is and will become more leftist as time goes on, but this is due to leftists moving away from states like New York, Illinois, California to Texas. Not true. Why do you say things that are not factually correct? By saying that, you would sort of imply then that New York should be getting redder. New York is not getting redder. California is not getting redder. California is getting bluer. New York is getting bluer. New Jersey getting bluer. So folks, please, 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 let's be accurate. People are turning left because they've completely come to the conclusion that right doesn't serve them. Right is a clear and present danger to their personal economies. That's a statement of fact. Look at the numbers. The numbers says it all. The number says it all. Let's see if I have one more before I go. We're getting close to the end of the show. So let's see. Mike Cisak, census is tracking this. As more people move along with incomes and wealth, it is a fact. It is a fact that people are moving away from high tax states. Yeah, that's true. But guess who are the ones that generally move from those states? Republicans, because they hate taxes. Come on, hermano. If you're going to make an argument that is consistent. It is true that there are some people, look, nobody likes to pay taxes, but those who are anathema to taxes altogether are generally conservatives, and they move to conservative states. So even if Texas is getting an influx of folk, you know a lot of those folk, who they are. And of course, they're also going to get an influx of folks who can't afford the homes and can't afford that sort of stuff as well. As I've seen people move into Arizona. But who would ever say that Arizona is like a jet blue state? Nobody would. Nobody would. All right, one last look at our feed here to see if there's any more things to cover in the feed. And then if not, we will be closing out the show with my last ask of the day. Let's see. Mike Cisak, let's see. I read that already, Cisak. Let's see. Michael Rudden, no corporations used to be to the public good. It has been corrupted towards. Look, you're absolutely right, and I have an article to that effect at egbertowillies.com as well. You're absolutely correct. Corporations used to be an entity created to complete a project of good. And when that project of good was completed, the corporation was dissolved. They used to have a charter that had X amount of years. No more. Corporations live on forever. Not only do corporations live on forever, but they are now people. They have our Bill of Rights apply to them. So we have to be cognizant of these issues. Anyway, thank you guys for having listened to the program. We had a great program. This is my last ask. I want to tell you guys, this is a progressive show. We're doing some very important work here. I don't ask you to do anything that I don't do myself. I always tell people this. I am a subscriber to Daily Kos. I'm a subscriber to Op-Ed News. I'm a subscriber to the Democratic Underground. By the way, that's dailykos.com, the democraticunderground.com, opednews.com. I'm also a subscriber to to HCDP. I'm also a subscriber. I usually have the list on the top of my head and forget Coffee Party USA, among others. I'm not asking you to do anything that I don't do myself because of the responsibility I feel to move the progressive message out in every form possible. We all have our groups. We all have our platforms. We all have that group of followers that we can talk to, that we can get to. So I'm asking you, several of you, those of you who have the wherewithal, just like you buy yourself some coffee, just like you buy yourself, like you support your cable news every single day, even for those people that are there misinforming you, consider being a subscriber of Politics Done Right. It is very, very inexpensive. Consider being a subscriber of Politics Done Right by going to patreon.com/Politics Done Right. That is patreon.com/Politics Done Right. One more time, patreon.com/Politics Done Right. We need to have the support of hundreds of you to remain viable. Look, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Thank you so kindly for having spent this time with me. Please do also remember to share this program. Share it as a podcast. Share it on your page. Share the blog post that corresponds to this. And again, it'll contain the YouTube video that we process of this today. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And I am out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.